Alrighty, we're going.
Woo,
I'm out of
yeah.
breath now. Welcome back to the Movie Whale Marathon. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Mac.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, there's
and
a chance I lose my voice.
sorry. But yeah, we're on Spider-Man 3, working our way through our Spider-Man marathon. Spider-Man 3 came out May 4th, 2007, directed by Sam Raimi once again, starring of course Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, and James Franco, J.K. Simmons, and Elizabeth Banks. But now introducing Thomas Hayden Church as the Sandman, Topher Grace as Eddie Brock, my god, and Bryce Dallas Howard as Gwen Stacy. And I think those are like the most noteworthy ones. Yeah, I'm gonna say those are the big noteworthy
Agreed.
ones. Yeah, we're on Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie that started the Andrew Goes to a Marvel movie the first weekend of May for his birthday tradition.
Aw, how
Because this is a
exciting.
year before Iron Man came out, before the MCU had that thing for like 10 years. This came
Yeah,
out May
yeah.
4th, just in time for my birthday. Our birthday.
Our
Our
birthday.
birthday. So yeah,
Yeah, no, I did that for a while too, but
mhm.
it's fun that this one started it for you.
It did. Yes, I went with a little Spider-Man shirt and everything because by
Cute.
I turned 10. By then I was already a huge crazy Spider-Man fan. So
Mm-hmm.
I
I mean,
have
that's something that might be worth jumping right into, like the way this
mhm.
movie does kid characters in the
Yeah.
crowd
Yeah, it's very fun.
frequently. That's really sweet. Like
Yeah.
it's not present in the first one. It shows it
Mhm.
pretty quickly in the second one, and they keep it up in the third one.
Yes.
I love that addition.
Yeah.
It's well done.
I definitely have a little bit of nostalgia for this one though. However,
Oh, really?
before we get too far, it is not as strong as it is for the first Spider-Man movie. Um, this movie is a mess, and
Me.
a mess.
Yeah.
And every time I watch it, there's one aspect that I hate more, one that I like more, and then one that
Mhm.
becomes just somehow more confusing every time I watch
Mm,
it. So like this will be a fun
mhm.
conversation, I think. Um, so yeah, I mean, how would you have anything, you want to start with your initial thoughts? I know I started. I think the last week with my
I
initial thoughts.
Sure. I mean, I feel like this is probably the one that I think I've never seen. I think I've seen like I'd watched the first one multiple times and I'd watched the second one at least once all the way through. But this one, I don't know that I've ever
Really?
seen this one really.
Oh.
Like I've seen clips,
Uh huh.
but like having watched the whole thing now, I'm like, that's definitely not what I thought it was.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
Have you seen the
yeah, like I don't
meme
think
with
I've
the
seen it.
like? Have you seen that before and not known where it came from?
I mean, does that not happen in the other two?
No, that theme, that's
Yeah.
specific to this movie.
Well, I noticed they did like the minor chord. There was like dissonance in it because it's supposed to be like Spider-Man's theme, but it's okay. Well, no, I didn't get
Yeah.
that.
It's like the dark Toby meme that got real big, like I think
Yeah,
before No Way Home, and
I
then came
did
back.
like the little like awkward dancing jokes,
Oh yeah,
memes.
all
I've
that. Uh
seen
huh.
those. Yeah, most of like the jazz club scene.
Uh
I've
huh.
seen that. Some things with Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think only a couple of images of the black suit. I don't think I've ever really seen this movie's
Oh
version
wow.
of like Venom.
Okay.
Um, yeah, no, so that was kind of different. And honestly, I think everyone collectively elected to forget the version of Green Goblin or Goblin Jr. that we get in this. And I
We do.
understand why. Not necessarily because it's a bad concept for the character, just because it's executed so poorly
Yeah.
in this film.
I have a selective thoughts on it. But since this is your first time, I would
Yeah.
love for you to like get into like what you thought, some likes,
Okay.
maybe some dislikes,
Um,
and I'll cut you off if you go too long. But I doubt you will.
I have a hard time putting together cohesive thoughts on this because my opinion of the movie's plot structure changed about three quarters of the way through the film. When I started it, I was like, I kind of like what this film is doing. Like I like that we're getting I feel like the actors and the writers have finally settled into how the characters are supposed to interact with each other. I feel like we're getting a fairly balanced perspective of like Spider and Petey. Like we're getting a lot of balance. We're getting a lot of like solid interactions. MJ is finally making progress in her career. Things are
Mm-hmm.
looking up. We're maintaining previous tensions with things we've set up before. The whole like Harry Peter like rivalry argument revenge thing. Um, I feel like there's a lot that kind of they do well in the setup. And then you realize that most of that setup is kind of a waste of your time because they do this whole like amnesia thing with Harry,
Mm-hmm.
and the amnesia thing only sticks around for as long as it's convenient, and
Mm-hmm.
then they get rid of it so that he can be relevant again, and then they solve his problems with Peter really quickly so that he can be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do this weird thing with Peter where I'm pretty sure it's like before he's exposed to the symbiote, he starts acting a fool just because he's popular, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, this man is about to propose to his girlfriend, MJ, and he just is like giving out kisses to random strangers,
Mm-hmm.
or even worse, girls who clearly have a crush on him from class on
Mm-hmm.
stage in front of all of New York,
Mm-hmm.
including your girlfriend slash desired fiance,
Mm-hmm.
right there in the crowd. We're
Mm-hmm.
just doing that. We're
Mm-hmm.
just doing that now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. Um, and like, there's some very bizarre choices. I like the character of Sandman as presented. Like Flint is really interesting, and honestly, the actor is probably the only one doing this job out there in terms of actually convincing us that he means what he's saying and not just being a really awkward actor on the camera. I mean, I actually believe that Flint was a real person. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if I believe that any of the other characters are actually real people. They're still just actors doing things, which is really bad when we're on the third film. And I still feel like you haven't embodied your character.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, um, so Flint, I like him as a character, and I like what they do with his character in the story, but ultimately ends up feeling rather pointless. He honestly doesn't really increase the stakes. This retcon with Uncle Ben doesn't really seem to make any
Mm-hmm.
purpose or sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are we doing that? Why?
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessary at any point of what's going on here. We already have enough going on with Peter in his personal life to kind of push him to a point where he would want to use a symbiote to improve his situation.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need this Uncle Ben rewrite just to make this guy look awful and then forgive him in the end anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
Maybe we're trying to rewrite the whole like how we handle that situation, but that's not relevant to the other tensions that's happening in the story. We're not becoming Spider-Man right now,
Mm-hmm.
or unbecoming him, or rebecoming him again. We are comfortably Spider-Man. So I don't know why we need to revisit the beginning of the
Mm-hmm.
story. Um, yeah, that's, I mean, I was going to say MJ clearly doesn't love Peter in the way where she's like ready to get married, and yet she was clearly ready to leave the altar for him in
Mm-hmm.
the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, there's a lot of nothing in this movie where it could be like a really interesting, I think it sets up, at least at the beginning, it kind of sets up this delicate balance of a life that does kind of spin nicely around each other. The tension about Harry and Peter and MJ being caught in the middle of that, the tension of like Spidey learning to not let the fame go to his head and make sure he's still taking care of the people in his life rather than getting too caught up in his own things. That matches really well with the whole symbiote situation. Like trying to be good and also trying to resist temptation and like killing and stuff resonates with the whole Harry Goblin situation. Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe kind of Flint's story accents that, but we clearly can't balance what's already happening in the story. So we really shouldn't be adding more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just feel like if we had picked a more specific direction for this film and then actually written a few more drafts of the story, then it would actually be a good idea or a good story. Because again, I do feel like the pieces are there, but they spend a lot of time setting things up that end up not being relevant or important to the actual gist of the story. And by
Mm-hmm.
the time we get to the end conflict, it's not about the things they set up in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's not it's kind of frustrating actually because it
It
kind of
is.
feels like they finally hit their swing and then
Yeah.
they don't go anywhere. It just keeps going off the rails.
Yeah. So I'll hop in then and just kind of add to that.
Yeah.
Um, I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't really have arguments for anything you said, but uh, yeah. So I think there's some potential in this. I think you gotta move some stuff. You gotta cut some stuff. One issue was the studio pushed Raimi to include Venom and the black suit. He did not want to do that. That's why the way he's beaten in the end, he's fully like disintegrated, so that it's not possible to make
He
another
can't come
movie.
back.
Yeah, and I still think the way he does it isn't terrible, which I'll come back to because it is
No,
widely
yeah.
hated the way that he does Venom.
Oh,
Um,
no.
but so like, kind of in the beginning, yeah, the narration is dumb, and my thing that I hate every time I watch it, it gets worse. Is Peter when happy is insufferable. He is such an asshole
Mhm.
in this movie, and it's really annoying because his face is so punchable, and I don't love that decision because I think there's something really cool where if you shift things a little bit and you have him be like this 25-year-old Peter Parker from like Into the Spider-Verse level Spider-Man who's just like fully embraced the
Mhm.
superhero thing. He's doing it, he's got it, and he likes that he's being appreciated. And it's cool, it's awesome. He doesn't take it for granted. And then the black suit comes into it and he turns into this
Mhm.
like glory obsessed, overly aggressive monster, and in the black
Mhm.
suit kisses Gwen because he doesn't care anymore about
Mhm.
Mary Jane. Like I think there's something to that, but like him becoming more of an asshole in the black suit, I think is slightly undercut by him being kind of a squirrely little asshole without the black suit.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
the pre-proposal scene at the French restaurant is so cringy, just because he's such a terrible boyfriend. And
Mhm.
I understand what the attempt here is that the fame has gone to his head. However, I like this mentality that is introduced in the first Captain America movie, which is like, a weak man appreciates strength. I feel like the nobody, the Spider-Man, is going to have a better grip of this because he's supposed to be a genius. Like, you aren't famous, dude. Peter
Yeah.
Parker is
No, the
still a
closest
nobody, and Spider-Man
the
is now
yeah.
appreciated, which that's great. I love that for you. However, we have seen a level of this in every Spider-Man movie. They have not illustrated well enough
Mhm.
the city hating Spider-Man for this stuff to have the same kind of impact now in Spider-Man 3. Having Spider-Man Day is great. Yes, that's
Yeah.
awesome. But that seems to almost come out of one specific event, not even everything that's led up to it, because Gwen and the police department seems to put that on because he saves her.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Agreed.
so
That's what I thought it was.
yeah, and like I maybe there's a version where you tweak it a little bit or rein it in a
See,
tad. Well, okay, I'm sorry, I
I
messed up a
think there's
point.
a world
I
well, okay, go ahead.
I messed up one of my points. I'm sorry. A guy like Peter Parker having fame go to his head, I can believe because that is a Spider-Man thing.
Mhm.
My original point, I don't think the way he's portrayed in the last movies, I don't think he would botch his relationship as terribly as he does. If he loves MJ the way he says he does and as desperately as he says he does,
Yep.
he's supposed to be smart enough to be able to ask like, "Hey, how was your day?" instead of just
Yeah.
bulldozing over her in conversation. I find that harder to believe. Like,
Agreed. I think that there's a version of this where it's very similarly done, but it's less of him just being a general, like, awful person with the fame going to his head and more like he feels like he can relate to MJ because they're both on the public stage per se, and
mm,
he does this thing where he's like, "Let me help you." And rather than listening to her and what she needs, he's like doing what he thinks she wants without
mm,
actually checking in, right? And that would work really well because that's him letting his perspective be shifted because he assumes that everything kind of centers or rotates around him a little bit, right?
mm,
And he's also still like responding to his natural instinct to be a helper. Like if Peter Parker is not primarily the kid that helps somebody when they need help, you've messed him up a little bit, right? Like that's the basic instinct of most classic heroes, and Peter Parker absolutely is a Captain America, Superman style moral character.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot but help somebody in trouble. There are a couple of times where he faces a moral quandary because that person has done something wrong to him or someone he cares about, and it gets kind of to be a close call. But if Peter is sitting there and he loves his girl and she is having a hard day, him just like not seeing it at all
I know.
and like that going on for months is just not
Right.
believable
And
for the sweetheart that Peter Parker
his
is supposed to be.
his confusion at why MJ's upset that he kissed another woman in public
Yeah.
on TV.
The fact that he would even think that would be okay,
It's
you
so
know?
it's so dumb. And see the thing for me as well, even as a little kid, it's like, okay, not only did you just do something really shitty in your relationship, you also revealed to the entire police department and whoever's on TV that you're at least a white guy. You know,
Yeah.
like you just revealed
Yeah.
half your face to all these
Yeah.
people. That was dumb any
Yeah.
way you slice it. Which is again why I think if he
Hmm.
did it in the black suit, it would have made more sense for him to be mentally, psychologically, emotionally altered and him not care.
Mm.
It would then track, and everyone be
It
excited at
also
first about him showing
it
up.
also
And
feels weird
oh, sorry, go ahead.
just that no, it's just that moment like for a moment I thought she was just going to give him like Gwen Stacy. I'm used to being a fairly moral character as well, right? Gwen Stacy is in a committed relationship. Have they written that committed relationship? Well, no, because Gwen almost dies and Brock pays no attention to her.
I don't even think she's in a committed
However,
relationship in this movie. I think
well,
I
he says that he wants to
he wants to marry
marry
her, but
her.
she references that they've had like one date, and then we don't even see a breakup scene, and
Mm,
she's on a date with Peter later in this movie.
that helps a little bit. But anyway, like I'm used to Stacy just being sort of like she's a bit of a goody two shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's and the idea that she would just like be down for a random like public kiss
I
when
know.
I thought she was in a relationship, like that's it's a little weird. And then like in my mind, I'm just like, you know what? A little like kiss on the cheek will satisfy the crowd,
Yeah,
right? She pulls down the
I
mask and
know.
goes for a full kiss. What are
Uh,
why? Why?
yeah,
Anyway.
yeah. Yeah, it's worse that he condones it. She doesn't even suggest it. She's
Yeah,
uncomfortable by the crowd
I know.
suggestion at first. And I
Yeah.
don't like for Gwen Stacy's sake that they write in that science is not her best subject.
She's supposed to be smart. She's supposed to be really clever. She's supposed to be like arguably smarter than Peter, right? Doesn't she
Only
tutor him at one point?
only when Peter tutors her apparently is that the case in this world. So, yeah. Peter sucks in this movie.
Hmm.
And Gwen kind of sucks, unfortunately, in this movie. This is the only
She does
movie.
have. There's a moment in here where I actually really respect her at the end of the
Oh
jazz
yes,
club
yes. No,
scene.
Gwen gets
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
She walks out of
and I
this
feel
movie on
like
her
it's actually
terms.
acted
Uh
well.
huh.
Like it ends up being kind of a redeeming moment for her,
Yep.
despite this kiss thing.
Uh huh.
She's like, I didn't realize this was happening
Yep.
to hurt you,
Uh huh.
and I'm going to apologize to you
Yep.
and leave this,
Yep.
I guess,
Mhm.
jerk and
Mhm.
the dust.
Yep.
And it's like
100%.
all we needed
Yep.
from her, so it was perfect.
Mhm. Yeah. So, poor Gwen. Real quick, the sequence though with the crane is pretty fun. I do like
It is,
the gliding through all the rubble and catching her is pretty dope.
yeah,
Um,
it is cool.
yeah, we gotta kind of move on. I wanna touch on something real quick. Let me see here. What do I want to do? Okay, real quick. I'll get this out of the way. Um,
Mm.
the part that gets better for me every time is Sandman. Sandman,
Mm-hmm.
other than like a thing and a half, is I think the strongest part of this movie. It's
Mm-hmm.
new, it's fresh and different. It's like a different kind of villain we're fighting. They do it in an almost believable way given the kind of science that exists in this world. The transformation sequence
Mm-hmm.
into Sandman is spectacular.
It's beautiful.
His character motivation is genuine and dope. His look is so simple and they nail it right away with that stupid t-shirt. I was so excited even as a
Mm-hmm.
child when he pulls it out of the drawer because I just that's all he wears is a stripy shirt
Mm-hmm.
and it's great. And then the sequence where he pulls himself together for the first time is gorgeous. I don't mean just
Mm-hmm.
visually. There's no dialogue.
It's
The music is
tragic.
beautiful. It's tragic when he tries to pick up the locket and he can't yet, and it's his daughter
Hmm.
that motivates him
Hmm.
to just hone his power is amazing. Am I the guy that is
Hmm.
also like, well, why is it the metal in his belt buckle was changed, but the metal in his locket didn't? Yeah, I am a little bit, but not enough for it to ruin the scene for me because it's beautiful.
Agreed.
Him making the
No, I
fingers and when he pulls himself and then he trips again, it's amazing. I love all of it.
I think in general, the like the hair and maybe even makeup department in this movie needs to be fired, but the visual effects are really good,
It's pretty good.
actually.
It's
Like
pretty
I
good.
would go so far as to say they're all pretty much really good. Like
Mm-hmm.
at this point that I feel like the symbiote, the Sandman, or even really Goblin Jr. looked like they in terms of like special effects,
Mm.
that all looked pretty good.
For the most part, yeah,
Costumes,
I'd agree.
character design, you could maybe argue that a little bit. But like those are two very different substances
Mm-hmm.
that were like
That's true.
animating
That's true.
here.
Liquidy goo
And they
and
both
grainy
look pretty
salt or
good.
salty
Yeah.
sandy rock. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
And they
You're right.
move very differently. Like one is
Indeed.
constant like a waterfall and the other is like a spidery like limb thing.
Dusty thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it looks good.
Yeah. I could agree with that. So yeah, and then just real quick to finish up Sandman. I
Mm.
do like the fight sequences we have with him. I like that the bigger he gets, the smaller his neck is like a way to like support the head. I like when Harry burns him, he turns to glass. I like when he's the
Mhm.
giant Sandman, he's got like the cinder blocks all in him. Like it's
Mhm.
giant Sandman is incredible. Um,
Mhm.
him being the guy that kills Uncle Ben is awful. Hate that. That's terrible. That's terrible, awful, awful decision. Hate that. It's awful. It's for so many reasons. It's awful. It removes the guilt from Spider-Man. It adds unnecessary guilt to Sandman. It
Mhm.
it connects another villain to Peter Parker's life that didn't need to be. The dude who killed Peter Parker would
Mhm.
years later become a supervillain. What do you mean? Like, no, okay, that's dumb. I hate that.
Mhm.
I hate all of it. The
Mhm.
forgiveness scene, if I give it credit, I could see a lot of substance in that. I get that because
Mhm.
it comes back to
Mhm.
what Aunt May says about poison and letting go, and
Mhm.
forgiveness is the bravest thing you can do, and so
It's
on.
basically a chance for Peter to do the right thing this time, but honestly, that kind of makes it worse because it means the guy he went after last time
Died for
didn't
almost
even.
nothing.
And like to be fair, he does it. They do address that in the script. Like Peter mentions that the guy he went after wasn't the right guy. Um, but it's again, there's so much happening in this film that it kind of gets
It
missed. Like they
does.
don't build up any of these moments into a meaningful conclusion. They're just sort
Yeah,
of like dropping things in
yeah.
as they go.
It's bloated. It
Um,
definitely is.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
I do feel
San.
like
Oh, bless you.
sorry. I do feel like there's a way you balance most of what you have going on. As beautiful as the Sandman stuff is,
Mm.
I do feel like that's the storyline that kind of like steals from what else they have going on. I kind of love the idea of doing Goblin Jr. first. Like the first act is handling Harry as
Mm.
Goblin Jr. Then let's go ahead and say he's got amnesia for the rest of the film if you really want to do the amnesia thing. But like, why put the amnesia in the middle?
Yeah,
Just to put him on pause until it's
yeah.
like relevant?
And it's
It's kind of
perfectly
dumb.
timed amnesia, not just where it is in the movie,
Yeah.
but where the
Uh huh.
amnesia ends.
Uh huh. Uh
Just
huh.
before any of the problematic shit. Just before. It's perfectly
Maybe
timed.
the idea is that Harry needs to have those new memories of being friends with Peter to like reinforce his
It's
redemption thing at the end. But it's not made clear that that's what's happening. It's just kind of like, and he turns because power duo, friendship,
I don't
and
know. There
it's not strong.
I think Sandman's the strongest, and I see enough fun and potential in the black suit and Venom and Peter losing what positivity he's gained in his life because of the symbiote, and him maybe
Mm-hmm.
thinking he needs the symbiote because it gives him an edge against Sandman, a villain that he
Mm-hmm.
maybe wouldn't be able to beat otherwise.
Mm,
Where I almost want
I
Goblin
like that.
Jr. to
Yeah.
be Spider-Man 4. Because we didn't talk about this last
Yeah.
week, and I said it right after we stopped recording. Harry going insane and seeing his dad in the mirror at the end of Spider-Man 2 makes no fucking sense. You want to try to argue he's insane after he takes the gas in this movie and sees him? Still doesn't make any sense, especially with old Goblin saying the exact same lines that Harry wouldn't think of, wouldn't know of, any of that. But still, at the end of Spider-Man 2, it makes no sense. Him doing it in this movie, fine. Do I get some fun out of that first fight sequence with New Goblin? I do. It is fun. I hate the snowboard glider. It's stupid. But I do like in the chase sequence when they're in between the buildings, when they change direction and he like steps on it real hard and it goes like a and it like spins very Treasure Planet style. In that moment, I'm like, that's my glider. And then every instance after that, I'm like, this glider fucking sucks. It's so, his look is bad with his like fluffy pants and his snowboard mask. Like, his arm knives, sick. Sick.
And they use them because they're sick.
They're sick. His sword, fine. Fine, I guess. Whatever. His strength, ripping a brick wall apart there for a second. Hardcore, man. Getting clotheslined. It's really hard not to laugh at that just because of the sound effect.
That's kind of what like really knocks him out.
Yeah. And then like I do like the fight sequence between the two of them when his memory finally comes back, as dumb as that whole like arc is, but I wish it was Peter in the suit without the mask. Like he's wearing it under his clothes. I wish he was in the suit for that. Also, partner pointed out while we watched this whole movie, the worst part honestly is the time, because all of this from beginning to end I think is a week and a half, which is insane. No. I swear to God, because
2 months were passing.
Nope, there's no way, because they repeatedly mention stuff like something, this happened last night, this was 2 days ago, this was a thing that happened just the other day, and it's like,
right,
it's so much of it.
Well, I did catch that he seems to have made dinner plans at the same time that her show would have been on, because it's like they mentioned a couple times it starts at 8:00 and he makes dinner for that night at 7 p.m. and he doesn't know that she's fired. So was he just assuming that she would skip work to have dinner?
I don't know. But they referenced the whole like critic and the show the other night, and I mean, you'd think with Harry it would be over the course of it's probably more like, it feels like it's a couple of weeks, but the way the characters talk about it, it is a handful of days, maybe a week and a half. Because it's also the way it's filmed. It's implied that all three of these villains become villains in the same night. Harry goes home from that play, takes the gas, Venom lands, and Sandman breaks out of prison, all in that night. All of just that night, which is gross. I have looked into it a tad, and it's not a coincidence that the symbiote lands in that park. Apparently that species does seek out the heroes of their worlds. Comic book people, don't rip me to shreds if you do ever listen. I know it's like, I'm botching this, but like, the species does have some sort of connection or desire to meet up with the most powerful member of the planet, I think. And so the symbiote finding Peter on purpose because he's supposedly the only superhero in this world, that's fine.
That makes sense.
I'm fine with that. Sandman happening the same night is ridiculous. I don't know why Harry has decided to do this now instead of a year ago, because they've been dating for like a year. So yeah, also, I don't care how excited you are to propose to your girlfriend. Let your aunt sleep through the night. It was 2 a.m. I saw it on the clock. He woke her up at 2 a.m. to tell her that. That could have been brunch. That did not need to be 2 a.m. That was stupid.
Peter.
Yeah, I know. That's all this movie. Peter. Because also, I pointed out to partner while watching this because I'm on Reddit too much. Peter has a terrible dinner with his girlfriend where he is just an oblivious asshole. Kissed another woman. They have a fight over it, where that woman is then there flirting with him. And then he gets a get out of jail free card because they've changed the story to that Sandman has killed his uncle, because then Mary Jane has to come back to him and comfort him. And he still treats her like shit. He's an asshole. Asshole.
Yeah. And there are moments where I feel like the script actually does latch on to like Peter behaviors, like they understand the character a little bit. Obviously, nothing, almost nothing with MJ, but like the trade off, the exchange between Peter and Harry, sort of like he has MJ, like I'm not gonna mince words with you right now. You need to tell me, right? That thing works. The problem is, and I know I'm going to make some people angry when I say this, McGuire is not right for this role. He does not nail Peter deliveries at all. Even in the end fight, where he's like telling like Eddie, I think it is, or maybe it's when I don't remember at this point. He's like, "You don't want to do that, right?" Instead of like being full of conviction or anything, he's just like, "Don't want to do that."
Mm.
I was like, do you believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
Peter? You're about to die, and you got to convince this guy for his own good that he shouldn't kill you. And your response to it is like milk toast. It's watery. It's unconvincing. There's no heart behind it. This is the guy who has decided that the only character trait that Peter Parker has is awkward, and it dominates the entire film franchise.
I
I
see that.
can't. It doesn't work. Yes, Peter should be awkward, but Peter is not the awkward silences kind of like awkward. Peter is the I said something and I just realized that what I said is not entirely correct. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and change it. And I want to make sure that you understand why I had to change it, not because I'm trying to like be mean or like condescend to you. It just feels like I want to be accurate. He's the stumble over his own words,
Yeah.
drop something on
He's
accident kind of awkward.
yeah.
And he's like, he's got so much going on in his head that it bubbles over kind of awkward. And this Peter has nothing happening
His
in his
communication
head. There's
skills are
no
terrible.
there are no thoughts. There are
It's
occasionally
it's
desires in his
timid.
eye, and that's it.
Yes.
It's not even just timid because like I think the way that Tom Holland does timid Spidey works really well. But again, it's like an overflow problem
Mm.
rather than a there's nothing there problem, right? And in 3 movies, this guy hasn't found the energy of Spider-Man or Peter Parker. I, it's really annoying. It's really annoying. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I could play it better. I wouldn't look the
Oh.
part, but I could play it better.
Fair. Let's see
Ugh.
what else then. Yeah. So the black suit. Shall we talk about that there for a second?
It looks cool.
I do think it looks cool. It's very different from the way they do it in the comics, but it is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I like the
Mm-hmm.
soundtrack for it, the theme for the black suit. As much as it's been memed, I do think it's awesome with the horns, the
Mm-hmm.
like I like that.
No, I agree. The music does a lot in this
Yeah,
movie. I think it
the
helps cover up some things quite a
the
bit.
yeah the binding to the suit, the waking up hanging upside down, implying that it has a
Mm-hmm.
certain level of control over him is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
The the black and the silver work really well. I don't fully get why the top legs of the logo curl in. It's like the only thing they change about it. It's a little strange. Never
Mm.
quite got it. Don't hate it.
Probably
Don't
just
get
looks a
it.
little bit more sinister that
I
way.
guess, but I feel like that's a missed opportunity to just go ahead and change the logo as a whole. Just change
Mm.
it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You changed where the legs point. That's about it. And only half the legs. Um
Mm-hmm.
but I do like that. I like
I like that Peter kind of like gets a taste of it and dislikes it and rejects
mhm.
it. And he even like intentionally rejects it twice. Like I like that about the way they wrote this story.
Mhm.
And I like how awful they wrote Brock. Brock is awful the whole
Well,
time.
yeah,
And
but
I kind of like that.
he's the wrong kind of awful, which is why everyone hates it so much. But
Oh. No,
so
I didn't have anything else to
no,
say
you're
about
good. You're
that.
good. From what I know of Eddie Brock, one reason they hate Venom, they as in the fans at large hate Venom in this movie is because he's so skinny. I this version of Venom is kind of like X-Men Origins Wolverine Deadpool. Is like I think it's cool until you remember it's supposed to be a certain character. 'Cause, like I
Mhm.
think for Venom it sucks, but as a like a
I kept
weird
waiting for like the voice essentially.
yeah, his
And
voice
like
doesn't change.
yeah,
Yeah.
there are influences, but it's not Venom's voice.
No.
Like even in most versions that I'm familiar with, Venom does like this whole like subconscious voice talky
Yeah.
thing, right?
Well, that's
And
the other
it doesn't
thing,
happen.
that they don't do that at all. They don't do a dual personality thing in this at all. Even though they
Mm-hmm.
show personality and agency within the goo, as soon as it becomes
Mm-hmm.
Venom, that seems to go away. So, quick
Mm-hmm.
little crash course on Eddie Brock and Venom, I suppose. One reason why Venom is so big is because Eddie Brock is real big. If you were to cast, I think, the perfect Eddie Brock purely out of looks, it's that guy that plays Hawk in Titans, who is Reacher now. Big, great, big,
Mm-hmm.
blonde, bulky dude. He's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Topher Grace with his frosted tips, little squirrely guy right out of like Zack and Cody,
Yeah.
is kind of weird and not
He's
everyone's
supposed
favorite.
to be the jock type in comparison to Peter's
Yes.
nerd type.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is also, I believe, this is, I could be wrong about this, but what I recall is that Brock reports on something that he thinks is true, that Spider-Man
Mm.
then busts or reveals is false. Brock gets tied up in it, and it looks like he reported on something incorrectly. Because, like, Brock isn't supposed to be a bad guy, if I remember, but Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
ruins his life, so he hates
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man, the symbiote hates Spider-Man, and that's a match made in heaven. What we do in
Mm-hmm.
this is make Brock a complete and utter lying Weasley little dick, lie
Mm-hmm.
about Spider-Man, ruin his own life when people point it out, and then he goes and prays for God to kill Peter Parker because, like, oh yeah, okay, since you said please, and then because of perfect coincidental timing, we become Venom. And overall, I don't hate that. But then we get into all the issues with Venom. He's too small.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
seems to implicitly have the ability to rewrite physiology in a way that we haven't yet seen, because with the way Venom's jaw unhinges in this movie and where the tongue is in the Venom movie, he's big enough that you could think, oh
It just
yeah,
kind of
there's a guy
envelops
in
them.
there. But
Mm-hmm.
we also see
Mm-hmm.
before he becomes full Venom in Venom, he rebuilds Eddie's body, immediately implying the ability to rewrite the physiology of the person. In this, he's got his jaw unhinging in a way that wouldn't work for Eddie's face, but he pulls his mask back and his regular face is there, but his teeth are different, which is bizarre and weird, and he can't talk through them, which is funny. So, and yeah,
Yeah, that was.
and he's got great big claws, which doesn't make any sense, and he's got all this knowledge, which doesn't work. Real quick, to make sense, the fight scene in the subway between Black Suit Spider-Man and Sandman is awesome. It's brutal, it's intense, it's more violent than anything Spider-Man has done, and it works out real well that it's Sandman and we're not actually disintegrating some man's face, but it's perfect to
Mm-hmm.
show him letting loose. It was great. And then he
Mm-hmm.
kills him. So, from Spider-Man and Symbiote's perspective, Sandman is dead. And the
Mm-hmm.
symbiote knows what Peter knows. So then Venom knows what Peter knows. But Venom is out looking for you. Which, why? You think he's dead. No one knows that Sandman has come back. But Venom is out swinging through the city looking for Sandman. And he knows all about you. Like how Spider-Man won't let you help your poor daughter. How do you know that? Spider-Man
Yeah.
didn't know that. Where did you learn
Mm-hmm.
this? Well, it's because Eddie Brock is a journalist, a reporter. It's like, yeah, but he sucks as one, and that would have been kind of cool to
Mm-hmm.
see happen, because
Mm-hmm.
none of that is something that's explored in the movie. Venom and Sandman just team up out of nowhere, and it's just weird.
Honestly, going for like a again, this you have to do some serious rewrites to make this work. But going for like a Eddie Brock is tasked by JJ to go find a story that buries Spider-Man, right? And then he finds out that Spider-Man is like hunting down this guy who just wants to provide for his daughter. And sure, he
Yeah,
ended up on the
sure.
wrong side of the law, but now Spider-Man's beating up on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like there's an angle there where you could really get a smear campaign, get Spidey going if you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to, or set anything up
Yeah.
so that Brock has a reason to believe that he's found something legitimate rather than just being a
Mm-hmm.
liar. Um, I don't know. There's again the bugle scenes are like some of the best scenes in the
They're pretty.
film.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Um,
Other
but it
than
is kind
one.
of other than one.
Other than one. I uh the jazz sequence, not the later jazz sequence, but the mid jazz sequence, um, can't seem to decide if women are attracted to Peter or not on the street. But
Mhm.
then of all
Mhm.
the women that seem to be head over heels for emo Parker, Betty Brant? Really? That's
Yeah, it's
so
super weird.
bizarre. What a weird choice to make.
It's super weird.
It's so
It's
weird.
honestly every time I saw like a woman quote unquote attracted to Dark Peter, we'll call him, I went, why?
I know, like, there are
And
ways to do it, and it would have been more believable. Like,
yeah. Yeah, because like the thing is, if you want to go with like a sort of like confidence thing, you want to go with a power thing. There are people who would turn their head for that. Absolutely. Giving him the worst haircut is in his entire
yeah.
life, making him move like a rag doll
Uh
with
huh.
like an unnerving amount of confidence in the streets of New York City. Nobody is looking at him like he's an
No.
interesting friend.
No.
Like there's no, maybe an approving glance at his new outfit.
Yeah.
But then he starts dancing, and the women who are like, let's avoid him, are the only ones who make any kind of sense.
Yeah. There's so many different ways you could have done his outfits to make him look genuinely cool, but also like a douchebag. Like,
Uh huh.
so, so many strange, weird choices with all of that. I also think there's a missed opportunity for him to have ruined his own life in the symbiote suit. But then, with the ending, having Venom and the news thinking that was the Black Suit Spider Man at first, them chalking up all the terrible things that Black Suit Spider Man did to Venom,
Through the
and giving
venom,
Spider Man a little bit of an out
I'm a
that
free
he
pass.
doesn't take for granted, kind of thing. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's something kind of there which could have been explored, polished a little bit, because we don't want Spider Man to be like killing people, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean, like.
No, I know. To go a little bit crazier in Dark Suit, and then to have it sort of like all not necessarily washed away by the idea that it was all venom the whole time, but sort of like he gets to maintain
Mhm.
his Spidey status
Yeah, because
because of it.
there
That would work.
is a tad, the tiniest ittiest bit of the Winter Soldier thing to Black Suit Spider Man, in that you
Mhm.
aren't in control of yourself the same way.
Yeah.
At the very
Yeah.
least, it is like being drugged, severely
Mhm.
drugged,
Mhm.
and so I think there is something there too, like where he gets an out because it's a lot of his actions were maybe blamed on Venom in the end because they look so similar, which would have been interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, moving right along, so we're about 15 minutes out here. Uh, Mary Jane should break up with him. Don't love that she cheats
Yeah.
on every boyfriend in every movie. They didn't break up technically. Is she justified in feeling that way? Yes, absolutely. Just dump him. You know, just dump him.
Yeah.
I also feel
Well, and
like,
like I do feel like out of all the kisses that have happened, this is the one that I honestly feel like makes the most sense in terms of like would happen. I just don't feel like it was necessary. Like because of all the other kisses, it feels again like a cheap ploy to make us feel, oh no, stakes have been raised.
uh
When
huh,
like this has been happening forever.
yeah,
Clearly she's not committed.
yeah, nope. She's definitely not. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, but I don't think when she breaks up with him, she doesn't seem super coerced, because how it should have ended pointed out really, really well that if Harry in his goblin gear is like, hey, if you want Peter to live, you're gonna do what I say, then Mary Jane on the bridge would be like, hey, you guy I know who can kick pretty much anyone's ass because I've seen how strong you are. This dude is hiding behind that tree over there. Go kick his
Mhm.
ass, because there's really nothing that he
Mhm.
can do to you, especially when you have a heads up. So I think she used it as an out,
Mhm.
respect, but also just be better. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and then
They also play it like she's heartbroken over it.
yeah, but
And
like pick a side.
seriously,
Yeah, and then
seriously.
Bernard sucks, because Bernard
Mhm.
has known all this time and tells him that, which is so stupid. And Peter has a little bit of the whole Superman versus Batman. Hey, Lex has my mom. It takes 3 seconds to say that moment of like, I didn't kill your father. He was trying to kill me. He killed himself. You've waited a year to say that line that took all of 3 seconds to say. You don't need to
I
dramatize
think
it.
he
Just talk.
does say it
He does it in
in
2.
the second.
Nope.
I thought he did.
No, he
I
doesn't.
thought he said
Nope.
like your father didn't die by my hand or something
Nope.
like that.
Nope. He just says there are
Huh.
bigger things going on here than you and me. He does not say, when Harry says, Peter, you killed my father, he does not say, actually, I didn't. I can tell you about it more later, but
Mm-hmm.
right now, I've got shit to do. Which, see how hard that was to say? It took a lot out of me, I guess. It's really not that hard. So, I don't like the
Yeah.
manufactured drama between Harry and Peter, especially for like where it ends. Because I like how it ends.
Yeah.
It's like it feels like the most mature, level-headed thing that Harry does, but it comes from the stupidest thing, which is that Bernard knew the whole time and decided just not to say
Yeah.
anything.
Bernard is the worst. I don't like why would he choose now to say this?
Yeah,
He's been watching Harry in decline for at least a year
yeah,
and he chose to say nothing?
yeah. Also, I need your opinion on this, real quick.
Okay.
We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
deviate a little bit just to see how believable this is. You have a better relationship with your dad than I do with mine, so
I do.
I'm a poor example.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mystery that Norman Osborn was the Green Goblin. So, if your dad was the Green Goblin and you know he burned down a couple of buildings, killed a bunch of people, and risked the lives, attempted to kill the lives of all these children in like a trolley car or whatever it was, and then I, as a superhero, killed your dad, would you hate me for that? Or would it be like, you know what? I just can't look at you, but I get it.
That's basically what I'd probably land on. Like, I would definitely need time to process the idea that my dad was a supervillain. I think sometimes the miscommunication trope is a little overhated, and miscommunication is the wrong word, but it's sort of like this idea that your trusted friend tells you that a family member or another trusted friend has betrayed you, and you're like, I don't believe it. People often react in disbelief to things they don't have an easy time like understanding or conceptualizing, right? Like there is no world in which I see my father riding around on a glider pretending to be a goblin throwing
Mm-hmm.
bombs at Spider-Man, right? However, a really, really close friend comes up to me and says, I'm Spider-Man. This is your dad. I'm really sorry, but he was trying to kill me and he's also a supervillain. I
Mm-hmm.
would definitely need time to process all that, but I think I would probably land more in that B category of like, I don't know if I can regain my friendship with you because of what has happened,
Mm-hmm.
because it would be really painful. But at the same time, I'm not going to set out on a revenge arc to get this guy because it
Mm-hmm.
kind of sounds like he was just handling the problem. And as sad as it is that my dad was the problem,
Yes.
he was a problem.
Right. A noted problem. In the news.
Yeah,
Many
yeah.
times. A noted problem.
Responsible for at least one death.
Right.
Like, there's no way he hasn't killed
No,
people.
at least like what, 7? The board
Yeah.
members of Oscorp, like that's all that
Oh,
was in
yeah.
the news. Like we know he
Hmm.
killed all of them.
Yeah. No, like it's definitely going to be troubling, like in the sense that I'm gonna need some time to process it. I probably would say some like really dumb, sort of offending things to the person who
But
tells me that.
would you take the goblin gas and become a new villain and try to kill the hero?
No,
Exactly.
absolutely not.
Right. Because like even if you want to argue, you try to argue like the way Harry reacts is like, well, he doesn't know. He doesn't know that his dad's
Hmm.
Green Goblin's like, you don't get to argue that once he gets to the Goblin closet. He knows, and he's
Yeah.
just that shitty a dude. But then apparently, all it takes is Bernard telling him like, no, it was his own hands. Like that's what did it. You know your dad is a crazy, awful, insane supervillain, and you seem to be implied to be just as insane. But then old man Bernard says, "Hey, no," and that's all it takes, and then you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
It's
Sam
really dumb.
Raimi hated doing the Venom shit, but the weakest part of this movie is Young
Hmm.
Goblin, Little Goblin, all of it,
Hmm.
because it's just bad. Side note, the extra Goblin tech looks awesome. That like shiny orange
I
mask.
uh-huh.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
There's I actually feel like the Goblin Jr. storyline can be rather interesting if
Oh,
you
it
pull it off
can.
well. It's just it's just really hard to do.
I know how to do
And
it.
well, sure, because you know everything
I
apparently.
know how to do
But,
it.
but like the thing is, I guess I can't be entirely mad at it in this film, not only because it's like it doesn't begin at this film. It's like at the end of the first film we start this stupid character arc, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so like we're committed to it now and it's already stupid. And there are ways to fix it that we're not choosing, but like it's already stupid, so I'm going to expect it to continue to be stupid. The one thing that we do get out of it that I do count as a positive towards this film is that when Harry and Peter fight together,
Mm-hmm.
there are quips. There are
Yes.
quips
There are
in the fight.
quips. There are
Oh my
quips.
gosh, we're being
It's
funny.
very
We're
fun.
like
Yeah.
we're like having fun,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the
And
only time
yeah,
that it happens
it
in this
is.
franchise.
And there is, I think, something kind of poetic about Goblin dying, trying to
Hmm.
kill Spider-Man with the glider, and kills himself, and then Little Goblin dying by trying to save Spider-Man, and
Actually,
then
rolled my
dies with it.
eyes at that.
I thought it's
It's a
poetic.
little
It's
forced.
a little poetic. I
It
think it
is a little
works.
poetic.
It's a
I
little
will give you
poetic.
that. I think if it was earned, I would feel better about it.
It's true. True.
Right now, it just kind of feels like a, and look, he dies the same way his father did, but for a different reason. Isn't it deep? Isn't it
A
thoughtful?
little.
No,
Yes, it
because we've
is. A
kind of
little.
failed
A little.
to make
It's a
anything
little.
else about that story thoughtful.
True, but it's a little. It's a little bit. Just the tiniest itty bitty bit. But yeah.
It's
Also,
thoughtful in the same way that putting a cherry on top of an absolute disaster of a milkshake is thoughtful.
hey, they call it the cherry on top for a reason. But
Because it
yes.
adds no substance.
Okay. But yeah. Also, I didn't think of an original way to do Goblin right. I ripped it off from Gotham
Mhm.
because first of
Mhm.
all, Harry going crazy and hallucinating his dad and throwing the knife at the mirror to find Goblin Closet is stupid. All you had to do was shove Peter up against the mirror. It cracks.
Mm.
We have our
We talked about this
confrontation.
last week.
Yes, he
Hmm.
leaves and then it falls apart later. He finds it and then he hits a like he's looking at stuff and he touches something and gas sprays his face, just like first Joker does to his weird twin brother to turn him into the next Joker. Like the new Goblin is an accident. He doesn't intend to
Mm-hmm.
do it. Something like that.
Hmm.
And then we get some goblin shit, and that's all good and fine, and we explore
Hmm.
the goblin shit.
I think like Goblin Jr. only really works if Harry is somehow like off his rocker a little bit.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
I think it makes sense for him to have a target on like Spider-Man and Peter, like knowing that Peter is Spider-Man and like wanting to get revenge for his dad. All of that works if we have a solid reason for him to be unstable and him getting exposed to the gas by not like choosing that. It's arguably something his dad like sets up because he wants it to happen. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is the right level of twisted for Goblin
Mm-hmm.
Jr. And then the idea of like friendship being strong enough to pull him out of that is the right kind of story for a Goblin Jr. Spider-Man story where they team up at the end and then like Harry gives his life for Peter, right? Like that's how you make that work. This whole thing about him making these choices consistently because he just hates Peter that much, or he's that unable to accept that his father is responsible for his own death, even if it's by the hands of Spider-Man. Getting into a fight with Spider-Man because you're trying to kill people is a valid reason for Spider-Man
Yeah.
to end you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's probably like he didn't even try. So like there's just the logic here is really weak. And I'm not saying that all character like thoughts and motivations have to be logical, but there need to be believable reasons behind the mentalities and things. Or at the very least, there needs to be stellar acting to convince me that they believe it, even if it's not really that believable. And we don't have either of those things in this film.
Nope.
So it doesn't work.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. And yet
Mhm.
again, we find Mary Jane Watson is in danger. She gets to scream, and we get to scream
Of
back.
course. At
Um,
least she throws a cinder block this
she
time.
does. She throws a cinder block this time.
Hmm.
Ugh. Um.
I know it's a comic book thing, but I still love the whole like sound wave weakness thing for the
Oh, I
symbiote.
do.
Like
Honestly,
it
yeah,
always looks so cool.
yeah. That looks cool. The aura farming, as the kids say, on the church before he takes off the
Hmm.
suit. That's an awesome shot. It looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the sequence of him ripping it off with the bell is fantastic. It
Mm-hmm.
is. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Visuals
Yeah.
kind of pop up every now and then in this movie. I did forget to
Mm-hmm.
mention that again.
It goes like strongly gothic in that scene in a way that
Yes.
feels separate from the rest of the film, but because of how cool the scene is, I
Give it a
do kind of
pass.
like forgive it for
Yeah.
that, as well as kind of forgive it for like the convenience of Eddie Brock being there. Like it's like
Yeah.
obviously if Eddie Brock is supposed to be a somewhat decent dude who just is kind of a jerk, they've totally missed the mark in this film.
Yes.
However, him being a horrible dude who goes to church to pray for God to kill someone who just, called him out for his own bad behavior, that's kind of amazing.
I
And
guess.
to be immediately gifted from the heavens of that church an evil black
I
symbiote
know.
that
What are we
makes you a
saying? What are
monster
we
so
saying
you
about
kill
yeah?
that.
What
It's so weird.
uh-huh.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It feels like the right kind of comic goofy, honestly. I don't know why that scratches an itch. Like there's a certain like there's something about that scene makes me go, this is wild, I love it. Rather than
Mhm.
being, I don't know why this is happening, why is this happening, what is happening,
Yeah.
which is most of the movie.
I don't remember exactly how it happens in the comics the first time. I think it is something similar, like them being in the same place at the same time. All you've got to
Mm-hmm.
do is have Brock trying to get pictures of Spider-Man and follows him to the church.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All you got to do is
Yeah.
have that. Spider-Man is up and about in the sky all the time. You see him. That's all you got to do is have him be following him. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's not convenient anymore. It just happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of convenience in this plot, but it's yeah, like that's not the worst of
Yeah.
this
No.
film's weaknesses. So
What's convenient is that literally every single person of significance in this movie already has some sort of connection to Peter Parker, unrelated to anything
mm-hmm.
supernatural, and then they do, which is
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. Every single one of them. Who's the one other person in this whole movie that's going to be in any danger? Well, his lab partner, who's also got, a crush on him,
Also
who's
a model,
also
by the
who's a
way.
model, who's also supposedly dating the dude who will become the villain later. And that's
Yeah.
not even like the
Yeah.
main reason as to why he becomes the villain. That's almost like unrelated to that.
Yeah. I mean, he mentions it, but like,
Right. And then yeah, we already
and
talked about the
then
Sandman connections, how ridiculous that is. And then who is it that calls Peter Parker to tell him about that? Captain Stacy, the dad of your lab partner, who is the girlfriend of the guy who will become the supervillain later, who's going to try to kill you. Isn't that just the way? Like,
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, this is kind of a mess. And like honestly, I think because what happened was I went into it, and I think I already described this, but I went into it and I went, they're hitting some of the right notes.
Mm-hmm.
We're finding our footing a little bit. Things feel like they're out of balance. I see where they're going. And then they just didn't. I think about the time that Gwen became a model is the time I went, okay, this is
Okay,
just
wait a
going to
minute.
be
Wait a
as much
minute.
of a disaster as everything else.
Yeah.
It's I don't
Yeah.
know because obviously like Gwen's supposed to be clever, so introducing her in a classroom setting, boom, easy, done. She looks like Gwen Stacy. Okay, nice. We've got MJ and Peter doing romantic Spider-Man date things. Cool. We have an ominous meteorite landing not far from them that's going to continue the plot later. That's working. Okay, we have some interpersonal tension between MJ and Peter that feels reasonable and like it could happen. And like they're at different places in the relationship, and that's going to add tension to the story as well as kind of motivate some character choices. I like it. And then we do this weird thing with Flint. And as cool as Flint is, I just don't see the connections. Now, I do like your idea of it being like if we focus more on Flint as like the apparent villain and then Venom comes in and like makes that situation more complicated,
Mm-hmm.
that works. But that's not what happens.
No.
And it ends up feeling like this weird team up of random characters that have made most of the movie kind of awful for Peter. And Peter also being kind of awful, even when he's not under the influence of the symbiote.
Mm-hmm.
Symbiote. And it's whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. 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 Very, very much so. very much whatever. That's kind of us. I know I've probably forgotten one or two things to talk about. There are some things about this movie I really enjoy, but they're like sequences minus most of Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, there's just too many nitpicks. There's too many objectively bad things. I hate how his mask rips at the end of the movie because like the way it does in the first movie is perfect. The way they do it in this movie, when you look at his face, his other eye is not lined up with the lens. It's so it's too high. It's so dumb. Does anyone care about that? No, but it's just come on.
I noticed it.
Thank you.
And like clearly they're doing the rip thing because they want to like give you a good reason to see his face in these final battles because they failed again to make it readable through the costume. Because again, these actors don't believe the roles they're playing.
Yeah.
I again, I'm going to make people angry if anyone ever happens to listen to this. But I think with a different cast, these could actually be kind of good. Obviously, the writing needs a lot of work to improve, but I believe if the actors were able to believe what they were doing and saying with each other, then there would be a lot of energy and momentum that carries forward. Kind of like your job as an actor is to take the script and make it make sense for your character. It's a collaborative act with the writers. Sure, to a degree, the director and the writer is going to tell you what they want from that scene, right? But if you feel like something doesn't make sense, it's kind of on you to make it make sense for your character. And there are too many conflicting moments where it's clear that they're just reading off of a script and no one is giving them any direction and they're not pursuing any direction for their characters. They're just saying a thing that's on the page that needs to be said in the scene. And it's really bland. Like the whole like a superhero story is all flash and heart and sort of like the indomitable human spirit. And you're giving me a silent, awkward young adult who also sometimes dances badly to jazz in the street. Like I'm not buying what you're selling. It's not working.
Yeah, I don't think I would actually be able to give this one a whale. At best, it's a C- for me. So, 'tis not a whale.
Yeah, I had hope for this one going in. I really did, and it just kind of fell apart. I was kind of
You didn't like the first two. How the hell did you have hope for this one going into it?
again, I felt like they were kind of like they were landing a couple of beats in ways that were better than the first two. Because like the first two begin with this really melodramatic monologue about like MJ and how heartbroken he is, and this one he's figured it out. He's with the girl, and so there's a little bit less melodrama in the intro. And like the opening sequence with MJ, she's clearly like if they wanted it to be a disaster, they need to do a better job of conveying that in that scene because she looks amazing and she performs pretty well.
It's kind of confusing.
And then they're like, but you were in the first row. You only couldn't hear it past the first row. Isn't that a sound guy problem?
I think also Harry didn't seem to have an issue.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really trumped up. Like again, first few scenes, they're hitting some notes and some beats that they're supposed to be hitting. I'm feeling it. I'm like, we finally clicked with the characters and their lives. And then we get these really sort of like cooked up excuses for story stress, which is MJ gets fired the first day on the job. And Peter is being a complete airhead for some reason about his fame. And we're also going to go ahead and throw in Goblin Jr. and Amnesia, and also Flint, and also the symbiote, and also Eddie Brock. And it's like, okay, all right, never mind. You're going to do the same thing you did all
bloated.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that in 3 weeks, we will watch a movie that has, I think, 2 more villains than this one, and they managed to balance them better.
To be fair, I think they do have history they can lean on in comparison to this one, just establishing a lot of things.
I'm talking about Homecoming, not No Way Home. Homecoming technically has like 4 or 5 villains in it. Now they don't have the same level of role, but they exist and they have weird little things that they do, and it doesn't bog down the whole movie.
That's true. They're very relevant to what's happening narratively the whole time. Even the little goon guys are relevant.
Yep. But yeah, that's us for now. We finished the first trilogy. Now,
Woo!
10 years ago,
We're done.
we thought that next week was going to be Spider-Man 4, starring Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst going up against the Vulture. We will find out a week after doing press for the pre-production of the movie that actually has been canceled and we're rebooting it, and we're gonna be really sad.
I didn't know that happened. Oh my gosh.
It was confirmed. There's concept art for it. There was gonna be a fun montage.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, the opening montage was gonna be like Spider-Man going through like a bunch of like villains, like low-level ones, like Shocker and but like one of them was gonna be him bringing Mysterio in, and it was Bruce Campbell, and that has sparked debate as to whether or not Bruce Campbell was just gonna be Quentin Beck, who is playing Mysterio in that movie, or if Bruce Campbell's character in all of these movies has been Mysterio the whole time.
Mysterio the whole time.
Yeah, he does accents, he does performance, he does because like he's the announcer guy who's like really into the presentation of it all in the first movie. He's the usher who talks about maintaining the illusion in the second one, and then this one he's see it wasn't just an internet thing. People had receipts. So is he Mysterio, or is he just some random idiot? It's like all of them are just random idiots. Hard to know. But he was gonna go up against Vulture in the next one. I don't know much more beyond that, but you can look up concept art and like clay maquettes, the little clay sculptures of like what they wanted him to look like with his great big metal wings and shit. It was more bird-like than what Batman does.
Homecoming.
Yeah, what Batman does in the next one. So that's the one thing they carry over, is that we will be getting Vulture next week. Not next week, sorry. When they do,
yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I forgot. There's another.
Homecoming kind of picks up that thread.
Yeah, Homecoming picks up in some ways where this one leaves off. We do eventually get Vulture, just not yet. This one next week will pick up where this one decided not to go, which is that Dr. Connors is a biologist and does have an obsession with growing back his arm. I'm a physicist, not a biologist. Like, you let me down, Raimi. You let me down.
Also, it's wild to have him in the films 3 times and not have any plans.
I know
for him.
Also, just real quick, this will be the last point. It's so funny to say the symbiote amplifies characteristics of its host, especially aggression, and then shows a cell literally being mean to other cells. Just put the goo on a bug or a rat and have it show aggression. You animated a cell being mean.
Aggressive.
That's not a thing. Like, that's so weird. It's not even the cell like grabbing and assimilating the other cells and like them decaying. It's bumping them like a bully on the schoolyard.
Or like a white blood cell. It's like being aggressive about taking out.
Something.
What they perceive as a threat. It's none of that.
No, it's bumping us.
None of biologists, indeed.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. All right, we're done. That's us. Bye.